All right, I'm back here with our space game. Got the fleet moving side to side, and I can shoot them. But the game is still too easy right now because they don't shoot back at me. So in this video, we'll go ahead and get the fleet to return fire. And I will get out of the way. All right. So a lot of this is going to be pretty the initial setup is going to be pretty easy because we should be able to find some existing code in here that's similar to what we're trying to do. So we're going to do a little bit of just copy, paste, and modify to start out. All right, we need to load an image. So I am going to copy the laser image code, and I have a blue laser that I'm shooting, and I'm going to let the enemy shoot the red laser. So I can copy that, and I'll change this to red. And I hope this doesn't drive you crazy, but I'm going to let the lasers be the things that I shoot. They go up, and I am going to call the enemy lasers bombs because they go down. And I think that's just, if I call one lasers and the other bombs, then when I'm making this video, hopefully I won't ever use the wrong term and do something confusing. So that'll be my, so I'm going to have a bomb image. All right. I'm going to look in here and which of these classes is a bomb most going to behave like, and it's basically going to be a laser. So I'm just going to copy that code. So I've got two lasers, and I'll change the second one to be a bomb. And I want it to go down instead. So all I have to do is change that to a plus. And then let's see. The bombs are supposed to disappear from the game when they go off the bottom edge of the screen instead. So we're going to check to see if the top of the bomb is now greater than the height of the screen. Make sure you flip the inequality symbol around. And I want my lasers to go fast, and I want the bombs to fall a little bit slower. So I'm going to change this to 4. This is one of those numbers again. You know, once you start playing your game and you've got a screen size you like and a formation you like, this number can be tinkered with until the game has the right difficulty level. Okay. I think when I do initial development, I like things moving a little bit slower so I can see what's happening, and then I might speed it up once I actually start playing. All right. So now, how do we put a bomb into the game? Well, the enemies are going to drop them, and it's going to be real similar to shooting. So what I'm going to do is copy my shoot code. Actually, I got to do something else first. We're going to need to have a group for the bombs, so they're like lasers, so I'm just going to copy that. And so we'll make a sprite group for the bombs, and I'm going to go into my logic, and we're going to tell the bombs to update, and we're going to tell the bombs to draw. All right, so I haven't put any bombs in the game yet. I just kind of getting the game framed out so it's ready. I'm going to go ahead and run right now just so it checks for errors, and okay, everything looks good. So. All right, at least all my preliminary setup stuff seems like it's right. All right, so now let's think about a task we already have that's similar to bomb dropping, and that is the ship shooting the lasers. So what I'm going to do is copy the shoot code, and I will go to my enemy, and I'll paste it in. And a couple little things in here. One is, let's make the variable names make sense. We're going to make an individual bomb using the bomb class. Notice how the class name is capitalized, the individual variable is lowercase. And I'm going to do the bomb image. And I'm going to add the bomb. The bomb should go into the bombs group. Okay. So there's shooting. I have one more little mathematical problem in here. When it came to my ship, I wanted the lasers coming out of the top on the nose of the ship. So when I initially created a laser, I centered it right on the center top of the ship. And so with an enemy, I want the lasers coming out of the bottom center. So the X coordinate's going to be the same, still the center of the ship, but I want the Y coordinate to be the bottom of the ship image, not the top of the ship image. So I'll change this. So this will get the shot coming out of the right spot. All right. So now the next thing we have to do is decide when the enemies drop their bombs. So one approach would be to have each enemy deciding on its own whether or not to drop a bomb on an iteration of the game loop. And another way to handle this would be, let me get rid of that code, that's the finished code. Another way to handle this would be to have the fleet decide, so the fleet can manage it. And I'm going to take the second approach and let the fleet be the decider of who drops bombs and when. Just because, well, actually, maybe I'll do another video where I show how the playability changes a little bit if we try to let the bombers decide themselves. All right, so one of the things that I did is I gave my fleet a bomb rate variable, and this number doesn't really mean anything, okay? What I'm going to do is just make this number, the higher it is, the more frequently the fleet will drop bombs at us. And so I'm just picking 3 for now to see what happens. And there'll be some other numbers in this that you can just mess with, all right? So this is the first line of code I've added in this video. And I also want to do a little bit of cleanup here. So that's in the init. I can handle all the bomb dropping in the update, but my update function is going to start to get lengthy and maybe a little bit confusing. So what I'm going to do is make a new function, move, and I'm going to copy this code. I'm going to move that code into here. And so my update, I can add a line that says self.move, and it'll go up and do this. And then we can add another one. Just write pass for now, since I don't want to do the logic yet. We'll have another function, select bomber. So now our update, I think the code is going to be a little bit easier to read because we're kind of solving each little task in its own self-contained function. So every time the fleet updates, so every iteration of the game loop, first the fleet will do its move code, and then when the moving is finished, it'll go back up here and pick the bomber that we want to drop a bomb. So, all right. Double check, I have imported random, and I do want to try to randomize the bomb dropping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by picking a random number. And I'll say range. And I'm going to say from 0, and I'll say 120. And so nothing real meaningful about that 120 either. Frames per second is 60, so I just kind of doubled that. Maybe I can kind of think of this in seconds later, you'll see. But again, these are numbers I'm just going to fiddle with until everything seems right. And so the next thing I want to do is I want to get a list of all of the sprites in the group. Or actually, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide if the fleet is going to shoot. So what I'm going to say is if R is less than self bomb rate. You know what? Actually, I do want to get a list of all the fleet ships in the fleet first. So I'm going to say not his enemies. I'll just say sprites. So this line of code, what it does is it gets a list of every sprite, which would be every enemy ship that's contained in this sprite group in the fleet. And so what I want to do now is I'm going to say if R is less than, I'll say self.bomb rate, no parentheses, and we'll drop a bomb. So my bomb rate is 3. And this is going to pick a number from 0 up to 120. And so every time the random number comes in at 0, 1, or 2, then a bomb will get dropped. Okay, and by the fleet, by somebody in the fleet. And so, and since this is 2 seconds right here, we're going to have about a bomb and a half dropped every second. Okay, that's kind of the rate, and we'll see how that plays out. So we're going to pick the bomber, and we have a list of all of the ships, the enemy spaceships there in the sprites group. So I can do random.choice sprites. And so the random choice, if you haven't seen this before, you pass in a list as an argument, and it picks one of them at random and stores it at the bomber. So this is going to be just one of the enemy ships on our fleet. And then our bomber, you can see, has the enemy, right, has the, oops, you know what? I'm going to change that to drop bomb. The enemy has a drop a bomb function. And so I'm going to just say bomber drop bomb. And so this should get it to put a bomb into the game. So let's see if it works. All right. And so one bomb came out. I'll run it again and see. We have an error here, and I'm expecting this. Okay, 2 bombs came out, and then we got an error, and it says enemy 2 has no object drop bomb. Aha. So it's picking them at random, and as long as it picks one of these at random, the shooting works. But something I forgot to do, right, my enemy 2 does not have the ability to drop bombs. So I'm just going to copy and paste my drop bomb code and drop it in here and put it in there. And let's see if this works. Okay. All right, so it seems pretty good. Now, one of the things that you'll notice about this, as the this is one of the reasons I had the fleet do the shooting, and that is as the fleet thins out, the bomb rate stays the same. So as there are fewer and fewer ships, they'll start to shoot at you more, and I think it keeps the game a little bit more challenging that way. All right, so now we have the enemy dropping bombs. One thing that is not happening is my ship doesn't carry out. Right, they just go right through. So that's the last thing we got to do. And so we'll go up to our ship class. And our ship, like with the enemies, we did an update function. And so I'm going to copy that. And the update function is where the ship checks for lasers. And I am going to move that into my ship. So I'm in the ship. I'm just going to I always make the update last. And so we'll go through this code, and we're going to get the hits, and I'm going to say we're going to check for bombs. And then let's see, and then if we get hit by a bomb, we die, and an explosion sounds plays, and let's see what happens. And Oops, wait a minute. I know what I forgot. We have an update function, but in our game logic, we never said player.update. Okay, and we blew up, so that's good. Now, the blowing up, I think, is not exactly what I want. And I really don't know the final design of my game yet. I don't know if it's going to be one hit kills me and I get 3 lives, kind of classic arcade game style, or if I want to have it like a shield-based game and maybe my ship has a certain amount of shield, and it looks like I already started coding that. And when the shield is depleted, then the ship dies. So I could have one ship that slowly gets weaker, or I could have like lives. So I'm going to switch this over to a shield-based ship, and because I think that's going to be a little bit more flexible. So an additional line I've added in already. You can see a couple lines are lingering because I already did this once, and then I had to undo it to get it back to the starting state for the video. But I'm giving myself my ship a shield of 3. And I'm going to change this line here to be 4 hit in hits. And every time I get hit, I'm going to say if, or I'm going to say for hit and hits, I'm going to say self.shield minus equals 1. And then I'll say if self.shield less than or equal to 0, then we'll do we'll kill the ship and play an explosion sound. And so now my ship should take 3 hits. I'm gonna double check. There's 1, 2, and 3. 4. That was weird. Three. Oh, I should say less than or equal to 0. That's why. So less than or equal to 0. Let's double check. 1, 2, 3, and there it works. Okay. And if it gets to the point where I want to make this like a 3 lives sort of game, I don't have to go modify my update function. What I can do is I can just change the shield to 1, and my ship gets killed instantly. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 3. Right. A couple more little problems with this. 1, 2, 3. Right, my ship is still. I can still move and shoot. Okay, so it still exists in the game even though it's not getting drawn. You will have to fix that, and we need to decide on some kind of an end stage for this game too. We have to decide on the goal. And so I'm going to stop right here because I think before we start thinking about the object of the game, we're going to have to go into our code and just do a little bit of reorganizing to make things simpler. All right. So I will end the video here. And if you have any questions, let me know.